mentioned before, I think there are a lot of investors out there who are ready to invest in the energy economy in the United States if they have a system, if they have a sense of what the system is doing. We obviously tried for an approach initially that was a very free market approach. It was developed by the first President Bush. It was supported by McCain. But as soon as the Democrats agreed with it, all of a sudden it became, communism. Cap and trade was developed by Republicans for a good reason, which is that it says the government doesn't have to dictate how to get there. Let the free market, let the profit motive do it. And President Bush, the first President Bush's acid rain approach is probably the most efficient and successful environmental law in American history. It's only up there. So there's a reason why, and what are we defaulting to now? By the Senate Republicans, and I'll just be a little partisan on this answer, I'm trying not to be everybody, by killing that in the Senate, what they did was say, they weren't saying let's do nothing, they were saying well, let's just let the EPA do it by commanding control regulations, which seems like a very odd position for Senate Republicans to be taking. We had a lot of carrots and benefits in our plan for farmers and for forestry. That's not, in handing it over to the EPA. So right now, a very conservative Supreme Court has told the EPA they have to do this unless other action is taken. By killing that action, it basically says Congress doesn't have the guts to deal with this, so we'll let others do it, and then we can blame them for the problems. And I think we're going to end up with a less effective system, a more burdensome system because of it. So where does the fight go from here? Well, we'll see. The craziest part, I think, of what happened in the Senate wasn't just that they killed an overall plan, but even the final thing, which was just a lot of the tax credits that went to a lot of different parts of the energy sector, even that was not able to get through. But I think there's sort of an approach right now of, I don't think there's a lot of eagerness to give victories that look bipartisan, even if we know there's bipartisan support. Homestar and Rural Star that I fought for a lot have bipartisan support, they have business support. The problem is if they pass, they might work, and we don't want that to happen. So even common sense things within this building season where construction crews that are sitting idle will be out, helping to make us more efficient. We can't get through it. It is very frustrating. So I think we'll keep looking at ways to do this. And again, we've seen just in the last few weeks that China isn't sitting around waiting for us to figure this out. They're doing it, and they have every interest in owning and dominating the energy jobs of the future. And I think if we give those up, it's a sector that's too big and we're going to regret it. So we keep fighting for it. But again, one of the things that we have done, I'll just maybe end with this, is at the same time that we have fights that are national, how do we balance the budget? How do we do health care? How do we do energy independence? How do we take on nuclear threats and non-state actors? You also have a lot of fights locally, and they're fights, frankly, that have made my job worthwhile with everything that I put up with, which is making it real to that farmer. We're working with some of the biggest dairy farmers in the state to turn cow manure into power. And not only is that good for the environment in terms of the climate and the bay, but it's also taking them off the grid. A lot of farmers are pretty libertarian. They love the idea of being independent from the grid, even selling that product back. We're dealing with poultry farmers in Cumberland on this. Ferrum College in Franklin County, great college. It's got one of the highest percentage of first in your family to go to college students. And they are now building a biomass boiler, or moving forward on it, that'll power 100% of the campus using wood products from the forestry industry in the county. So at a time where their lumber sales are way down, because home starts are down, here's something where you're talking about a second revenue stream for them. We're also working with them on the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food, where 30% of their cafeteria food comes from farmers in the area. We've got a lot of farmers who say, I can make more on that 1 acre of tomatoes that I can sell in season than all this other stuff that I do. And I can do 30 acres of tomatoes, but I can't sell it anywhere in that time period. If we have a fast treat process in the county, and we have an institutional buyer like the school system, then you're talking about something where you're really starting to support local farmers, plus a healthier diet than the sort of school lunch program right now that essentially subsidizes childhood obesity. So you have things like that on the local level. The weatherization of homes, Homestar, other things. poor communities where we've turned landfills into power plants by capturing methane. So this is happening. This is not a hypothetical. This is not a, this could be. There are real jobs and real families being affected by it now. It's just that they're fighting against the system because the Senate doesn't have the guts to take this on instead of being with the wave. But we can continue to win big